876 stream.
No, it's just an introduction for us as coaches to get to know the players, to get to know the facilities. Again, repeating myself a lot, to get to know the culture. So I think this is a good way to get to know everything as quickly as possible, to gather the players, and a big thanks to the clubs and the coaches, local coaches of the Premiership teams, to allow us to have the players. I think most other places it would be denied to have players in the middle of the week, but big respect to them, and big thanks to the clubs and the coaches.
What were your takeaways from the first day?
Just to get to know the players. It was a match day +1, match day +2 for the players, so it was a recovery session. So of course physically we cannot do much. So we wanted just to introduce what we want in attack, and we continue with that today. So next camp will be more about defence. But first day yesterday was just to get to know the players. Try to get them to play on a higher tempo with more focus than maybe they are used to. When we select the best 30 players in the league, the standard should be higher, and we just want them to know that we demand high quality in our sessions.
Coach, you've been around the league. I've seen a Premier League game so far. What is your impression of what you've seen?
The games have been good and bad. So sometimes too much power. Less technique and tactics, but some really good matches. But I've only seen 4 games live, so I'm not the man to judge. But I will continue to look at the league and see the players, and hopefully see some talents that is not on my list or my radar.
Coach, have you had a chance as well to know if there'll be future camps like this in the future before the Mexico game in the Nations League?
So the plan, if the teams will allow me, we will do this hopefully every other week. So we'll have 2 days of 2 or 3 sessions, depending on when we can get it. Hopefully it can be on a Wednesday and Thursday, and then the players can give their best on the sessions. So they will always need a recovery day, and I don't want to take their recovery days and return them physically tired to the club. So it's cooperation between me and the coaches and the teams. Now I think it's good for us to get to know the players here. Their advantage will be when it comes to the FIFA break. They will have the advantage of knowing what we want, and the players abroad of course cannot attend these sessions, so they will have an advantage on those players, and we will have no trouble picking players from domestic players to the squad, because we have hopefully been drilling them in the position and in the tactics we want to play.
Have you been impressed with any particular players so far?
Too premature to say. I will answer that question in maybe a month.
Yeah, the overseas-based players you just mentioned, what will the interaction be? Because there must be some interaction as you head into March for that Mexico game. Is it you're going to be just monitoring, just like us, by looking at their game week to week, or you'll be in physical contact with them via phone or Zoom or whatever?
If I need to, I'll give players a call, maybe if they're not playing, why they're not playing, etc. But mostly it's watching their fitness level. I more or less know those players. That has been my, of course, when I was back home in Iceland from September, I've been monitoring more their players, because the league here was not started. So I've been watching a lot of matches from Jamaican players playing abroad. But it's more or less just watching them, you know, and if I need to, I will give players a call.
Yes, you spoke about tactics, you spoke about playing players in certain positions. How were they able to actually adapt to their style?
I'm pretty happy with the 2 camps we had. The first game, of course, now we can say we played the world champions, and I had 1 day of preparation. But given that, I think we played pretty good tactically, if we exclude the last 10 minutes of the match, when a certain player, best player in the world, just got a little bit of attention. But I think we played tactically that game pretty well, and we it was really, in the end, I did not like it to play Argentina in my first match, but we've used a lot of clips from that game because they expose weakness of every nation when they play. So we have a lot of clips where we can see good things and bad things, and we can correct and improve. So it was, in the end, it was a good game. Second camp in Cameroon. Another one I thought was really strange, to take local players or domestic players to fly them all over to Africa to play a friendly. But in the end, that game was really good for us to see maybe the next group of guys. And we did really well there. We had a little bit more preparation time, so it's good. And hopefully we can have more games like that. I have my ideas how a nation like Jamaica can have good results on that stage, of course. And if you just look at the World Cup, the top 4 teams were all teams that had 11 players that could go both ways. So Croatia, Morocco, really solid defensively. And if you want to win something, I think that is always the first thing you have to have in a team, a really good solid defense. And then you build from that platform or that foundation, you build your attacking game. But of course I know that Jamaicans would like to see flair, like to see players take on their opponents, etc. So we will build a little bit our identity on the culture of Jamaican football as well. And of course we'd like to do what the fans would like to see. But for sure we will be tactically, defensively solid, and that's always the first step. That will be my priority in starting to work with the national team.
How involved were you in selecting this group of players? I don't know how much you know them. Just tell me of your involvement in the selection.
Yeah. It's first of all, it's based on the players that went with us to Cameroon. So we knew that players. It's just the first group we are selecting. So we take it from maybe the performance in the league up till now, and then some names that we think is good to look at because people is talking about them.
Yeah, one of the names is Dujan Richards, the youngest player in the squad. Do you know him personally? What are your thoughts?
No, absolutely not. I've just seen clips from his games. I think he's an exciting player, young player. But the thing is, now we see him playing against senior players. Now we've only seen him playing school football. So I'm excited to see how good he is actually against senior players. But the only thing the only way I can evaluate him is to see him. So this is why I called him up.
Yeah. So how important is bringing players like Dujan Richards so young into the senior setup to have these kind of training camps?
It's probably important to him to measure himself against the other. For him, is probably. Really a good step in his career. Then he will see his weakness against or strengths against senior players. For us, it's a name that is probably has been off the radar a little bit. But now for us, it's good to see. Is it a prospect coming, or do we have to wait 1 or 2 more years? That's for us to evaluate. Maybe not after this session, but in the next couple of months.
At the World Cup, did you get the chance to watch some of the CONCACAF teams in our region?
Yeah, I went to Qatar mainly to see the CONCACAF team. So I was it was a little bit up and down. I thought Mexico played better than they should have progressed. They played some really good matches. I think I saw the game against Argentina, where they went physical and showed really good strength in that area against Poland. I saw that game as well. It was not as good. And then it was Costa Rica up and down. So US, I like the style of play. Maybe a little bit. They were maybe a little bit over ambitious in my opinion, but really exciting crop of players. Canada the same, young players, really ambitious. So I think all of these teams should be happy, and CONCACAF should be, the federation should be quite happy with the performance of their teams. Sorry.
Now, as a coach, how much do you expect to grow as a coach being in this new environment, and what are some of the challenges you're expecting here, and how you expect it to build you as you go through your career?
Myself, now I'm jumping again into an unknown territory. Now from Iceland I went to Qatar, to a new religion, new way of thinking, new culture. And I learned there that was me who needed to adjust to this new environment. So I know now I need to start on that, to learn the environment before I start to tell people what to do. So just what are the limits, how you talk to people, how you learn from the people around. That is always the first step before you start to take charge. You have to learn your students and your teammates and your superiors, so how to talk to them. So that is what I'm trying to do here. This camp is not only for the players, it's also for me.